What if you could build not one, but 5 micro apps in just 30 days? Today, we're going to be pulling back the curtain on the exact strategy to make it happen. I'm joined by none other than Mr. Hackathon, a legend in the no-code and hackathon world. He's been doing things with no code and now AI, and we're going to be learning from him. So if you're ready to learn how we did it from idea to execution, this is the video for you. So first of all, Mr. Hackathon, thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So today we're going to be breaking this down, how we're going to do this step by step. And like we had right here, we're going to be using the power of software and other tools, how we can get started. So first of all, Mr. Hackathon, tell us a little bit about your experience using software and what have you been building?
Yeah, software is my go-to for web applications. So people might be familiar with websites. Some people are familiar with native mobile applications, and a web application sits somewhere in between those. It has a little bit more features than your regular website, but less features than a native mobile application, which is a sweet spot for a SaaS tool, especially when you're first starting.
Excellent. And so as we're going to be talking about this today, using the power of software and other tools, tell us, could you give us a little bit of a preview, almost like a range of different type of micro SaaS or, different applications that you've been building with software?
So I will first show, let me share my screen. Hopefully, entire screen. Okay. I'll first share this because this is probably what I work on most consistently. This is actually a part of a social impact project. In the UK, I work with police forces across the UK. I work with police forces across the UK, and I work with other bigger charities. I work with the government when it comes to missing Black people and improving processes around missing Black people. So this started a couple years ago. Again, this is built in software. And this was a simple web application where I curated the missing people appeals. And there's actually no appeals on the website right now because they're being verified. But we go to, there might be actually. I don't think there should be. There's one. But the appeals are being verified. So I was curating appeals of missing Black people in the UK. But also we had very specific statistics for reporters and bloggers around missing Black people, and we've contributed to this research too. We did a petition. If we click here, hopefully we can see we had about 21,000 signatures. So in the UK, when you do a petition and you get 10,000 signatures, government has to respond. So this is the government response, a part of what we've created off the back of a web application. And for me, I build these kind of things all the time. So I didn't think it was going to blow up. I built it, posted it on Twitter, it blew up. And since then, I've continued to work on it. So that is missing. But I haven't actually advertised this, but we also have an AI assistant here. So the AI assistant is actually trained by Chip, and it uses statistics, research we've done, police procedures. It uses a lot of different sources in its knowledge base to help families of missing Black people find their loved ones, but not just find their loved ones, navigate the scope of missing. So sometimes they want to reach out to reporters, but not quite sure how. Sometimes they want comfort, or sometimes they want to know what other organizations they have to go to, and the assistant helps them do that. And that was built by Chip. So there's lots of interesting things and lots of interesting tools I'm pulling together to be able to do this effectively, especially on a shoestring budget.
I love it. So this is just one example using software and using the power of AI to really launch very quickly. Now, to do this project, how long did it take you to launch this?
So it took me 2 days, but the disclaimer is I've been doing no code for a while. So for me to navigate no-code platforms, it's like cognitively, I intuitively know how they work, the drag and drop interfaces, I know what to look for, I know how to do API calls. For me, this is a simple directory site, and maybe we create a directory site today and show you how simple it is. But this took no time at all. I actually think this is pretty straightforward for even beginners to do. I think in our last video, we talk about conceptually things might be challenging, but the execution of it is actually pretty easy.
I love it. Yeah, let's do this. Let's give a couple more examples of different things that you've built with Softer, and let's go. We'll talk about the idea, how to strategize, what kind of directory we should build, what the point would be, and then let's just go start to finish with that with Softer. Yeah. Oh, in the comment section down below, if you're watching this live, let us know, what tools are you using? Have you used Softer before? What kind of projects are you building? And if you are curious about how you can add AI into your micro SaaS or how to get ideas, we're going to break down all of those things as well. But let us know where you're stuck or where you're feeling the most friction when you're trying to do these projects.
So you may have to open this because you may need audio, but this is a website that I've been working on for role play. So like sales role play, or really it's all just sales role play related to real estate, energy utilities, technology, and software. So especially when it comes to AI, you have to be willing to be a little bit experimental and like kind of push the bar. And I think this is what I do, and I try and ride the wave of what's going on. So it can be AI, it can be vertical AI, which is like a scope of AI. And I try to ride the wave. This is specifically audio. So I will send you a link to this, and maybe you can like, we went through at the end before.
Let's do it. Yeah. Now, could you give an, as you're sending this, I'll set it up in a second. Yep, I see it. Could you give the people kind of an overview, more in depth, what they're about to hear and what this is for?
Yeah, so many of you may be familiar with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. I'm seeing lots of ads for Gemini now. And that is generally text-based, but especially the ads for Gemini are showing you can do audio too. But you can create your own assistants to do very specific audio things. So maybe you want to create an assistant for your kids to walk them through creating interactive stories. Or maybe you want to do an assistant like I have done here for sales. Or maybe you want to do you're a consultant or coach and you want to create an audio-based assistant that kind of replicates a conversation you would have with a client, and you can train an AI assistant to have that conversation just like you would with a client or prospect. And this is what I've done here. It's still not perfect, but I think you can get the like where it's going with having a conversation with AI assistants and how to monetize. And it might not be clear how you monetize here, but with Softer, as we'll go through it, you can actually put a paywall to be able to limit what people can access, what people can't access. And with that paywall, obviously, you can charge a certain amount, membership, subscription, just like Netflix or anything else, and they can access the content.
That's awesome. So if I'm understanding correctly, this is a micro SaaS that you could be providing for a very specific type of agency or a company to get them trained on how they should respond to certain scenarios. So I'm thinking real estate, if they're doing some kind of high ticket offer, you can be setting up these scenarios for them to train. So you could essentially bring that training environment for all of these small businesses. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right.
So people D&I consulting, people are training HR companies, people are training a lot of people on how to deliver services. And this is a perfect way to scale your operations without trying to, well, one, without hiring other people, but two, you can't duplicate yourself. And this is one way to virtually duplicate yourself.
Excellent. So let's just take a look real quick. I'm going to share my tab real quick, and we should be able to hear audio from this. So give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen tab here. I'm going to go here for a second and let me share.
Okay.
I think I'm sharing now, and let's go through this. So I'm going to go with the real estate negotiation.
Yeah. And the disclaimer here is it's not quite perfect yet. There are still things I have to tweak, but I think you can see where it's going.
Okay.
So in this conversation, Doc is the agent, and the AI assistant is the prospect.
All right, let's try it out for a second. I'm going to call the agent.
Hi there. I'm interested in the property at 123 Maple Street. It's a lovely home, but I have a few concerns. Is now a good time to talk about it?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's talk about it.
Okay, I'm ready to hear your concerns.
Well, I see that the property is, older. I'm kind of concerned about also the stairs in front of the houses. I think it may be too dangerous. Maybe I'm not sure if there's enough support for the railing and all of that stuff.
I understand your concern about the age of the house and the stairs. It's important to ensure the property is safe and structurally sound. I'm also a bit concerned about the stairs, especially if you have young children or elderly family members living with you. Could you tell me more about what specifically worries you about the stairs?
So
For example,
the
are
challenge
you
I'm
concerned about the
having,
material of the railing?
or the challenge I'm actually seeing here, is the assistant keeps acting like the agent instead of acting like the prospect. And what I would go back and do in this situation, and this is like real time we're looking at this. Are we looking at my screen? Okay. So that was built with 11 Labs Conversational AI. So what you would see, well, 11 Labs, maybe it's here. Okay. What you'll see, I have all these agents here. I'm not sure which one we was just speaking to, but let me just select a random one. And you'll see the system prompt, role, you an AI assistant named specialize in real estate negotiation practice. So here I'm giving it a role, I'm giving it a task, I'm giving it some kind of structure. And so I would go and adjust this system prompt to make sure it consistently acts like the prospect. But this is how we begin to build our SaaS and kind of stitch together different services to be able to build a SaaS that's unique and interesting. So that is that the second one? I think. I don't think we can hear you. I think Doc's audio is having some errors, so you just jump out and jump back in. Hello? Okay. While Doc is fixing the audio, this is 11 Labs. In my opinion, 11 Labs is probably the best AI audio tool out there. As you can see here, you can go text to speech, you can do a voice changer, you can upload audio and change your voice, you can create custom voices and voice clones. Are we good now? Yeah, yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Let's keep
So
it going. Yeah.
I was just talking through 11 Labs. You can produce sound effects, like it's hard to describe, but you can use text to produce sound effects. What we was just using is agents. So you can see here, I have an Apple support agent. That was what I was using for a tutorial. there is a very interesting feature here that I don't actually access to because I'm not a paying user, but you can create children's storybooks or storybooks that are narrated with different characters. So all you do is upload the text of the book and the characters they're speaking, and it will narrate each part like a unique character. Very, very interesting. Lots of interesting things in this project section. It is only $5 a month, but I get everything I want with the agents and conversational agents. And yeah, so this is project number 2 that we showcased.
Okay. So if we're looking at different ones, what I would say is, as you're looking at what Mr. Hackathon is building out, very specific use cases, very specific niche as we're going through this process. So when you're looking at what kind of micro SaaS, what kind of application are you trying to build with AI, think about your target audience. Who do you want to affect? What is the purpose of creating this app? And this will allow you to move in a lot better ways, a lot more purposeful way to do this. Go ahead, Dominic. Sorry.
So the third I was going to show is actually driven by my girlfriend, just made by me. This landing page was actually made by Card. So Card, for me, is one of the best landing page creators. You can create landing pages in Softer, but Softer, you can add more functionality than just having like a basic one-page website. When I first create projects and I have hardly anything, maybe just a name and description, I usually make it like this, make a landing page, maybe a sign-up button to collect people's emails, and maybe there is some kind of demo that they can try. In this case, there is. And so you can build this in Card too. But I have a template that I replicate in Card. So we're going to hit try now. We hit try now, and it takes us to an AI assistant. And this AI assistant plans is meal planning for women on a cycle. So different women have like different foods agree with different women when they're on their cycle. Obviously, there's cultural preferences there. There's things like some women, cheese doesn't agree with them. Some women, fried food doesn't agree with them. And this helps them plan their meals using AI. So again, very, very specific use case, but also in this particular one, there's very, very specific demographic target. And especially we don't cover marketing a whole lot, but especially with marketing, it helps to do that. I do see, I'm not the biggest fan of like food related apps and food related stuff. I think we can be more creative. That's usually what people come up with like their first idea. But I do think ideas like this that are very, very specific, very, very targeted can be very effective. Ideas we've also played with is food prep service for elderly care, but specifically cultural food. So if you're from the Caribbean, hey, this is an app specifically for meal prep for elderly care for people of Caribbean heritage. Very, very niche down, so you can focus the marketing efforts around a very specific community.
Love it. Love it. Great stuff. Great stuff. Okay, so that's number 3.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Number 4 is a little bit different. So I saw you recently, Doc, do a video on Replit. I'm not sure if you recently did a video on Bolt, but I know for sure you did a video on Replit recently and agents. And I actually built this. Hopefully it works to date, but I built this with Bolt, I believe, which is another AI companion tool. And I do a lot of education, both virtually and in person when it comes to AI. And a lot of people have trouble with prompt engineering. I've covered in previous videos with Doc, prompt engineering is basically the process of giving instructions to the AI assistant. And I have used an AI companion, describe the problem and describe how I envision it being solved to be able to create something that's just drag and drop. So create a story in the style of sci-fi with the constraint of it's set in the future. And here we can generate the prompt, and you can see it generates the prompt just by drag and drop. And hopefully it works. Let's see if, okay, so it should work.
What are you doing using this? What is the combination that you're
This
using?
is just like regular this is actually code, regular JavaScript. So if I wanted to monetize this, again, I could just take this in a very, very hacky way. I can take this and I can put it behind Softer, have people log in and do interesting things and pay me to be able to use this. Or I could, because this is using code, I can build the whole thing with code. But I don't have to. You know, I have the basic web application there, and I can just hide that behind a softer kind of gate. So you can see here, it's generated a story just by drag and drop. And this is how when I'm doing my workshops, I like to start to teach prompt engineering, kind of from like a component standpoint.
That's really good.
I think we mentioned, again, with the voice stuff, right? If we go to any of these, you can see it's the same thing. The role, even though there's a lot here, that's a component. A role would be a component. So that could be, hey, you are a teacher, you are a physio, you are a sports coach. The tasks could be something very, very specific. Hey, generate a story or generate a poem or generate whatever. So all of I think of prompt engineering really from a component standpoint. And this is how we begin to build a SaaS around it. So not exactly Softer, but where I would go here is I can just put that behind a Softer wall and use Softer to make it easy for people to log in, make it easy for people to pay me for the access to the service. And it's a super simple way. And then all of these are kind of like version ones or maybe even version 0, where I now have something tangible I can test and explore and put in people's hands and get feedback. I think a part of the challenge is a lot of the time we think way too big, which is good. We want to think big, but we want to take small steps to get to that big thing. In the first instance, I said that I built the Missing Black People website in 2 days. Like, this is where I want people to get to. Hey, I have an idea. I went to a networking event on Friday. By Monday, I had something that was working and I could give it to somebody to test the following week. And I can know, hey, this is something I should continue working on, or this is something that I should throw in the bin. There's so many ideas I throw in the trash that are not so good.
I love it. No, this is great. This is great stuff. And if you have questions about your own ideas, or maybe you're feeling like, well, I don't have any ideas, or maybe you're thinking, well, that sounds great, but where would I actually find customers? Let us know in the chat down below and we'll talk through it and we'll go through this, because in just a few minutes, we're going to go from idea to actually building out a directory and reasons why. But in the comment section down below, let us know, what kind of tools are you using? What are you getting stuck on? And we'll definitely talk about this. This is great. So you're using Bolt for this one right here that we're seeing?
Yeah. So I use Bolt to generate this initial thing. And bear in mind, I do have a technical background. So even though I'm instructing Bolt, I have an awareness like what to instruct it. Like the way this works, this is using a library from Google, but I have already seen that library before. So I can say, hey, use this particular thing to do it. I can say, hey, I want this part in 2 columns next to each other, aligned like this. Like, there is, again, it's the content. I don't want to make it look super, super easy, but it's possible.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent, excellent, excellent.
So the next one is leaning more into, hey, idea discovery, and how do I go from idea to actual thing? This is, and the disclaimer on this is not Softer. I could execute this in Softer pretty easily, but this is not Softer just because I want it as a mobile app. And remember, we said Softer is a web application. So I'll start with where the idea come from. And bear in mind, Doc, I know you've seen some of my tweets. Some of the ideas I have are pretty radical. But this is tweet that we started with. And my thing when I'm sourcing ideas, especially from social media, is what's going viral. So I kind of look at popular trends, virality. I look at what's popular, what people are talking about. And I have lots of bookmarks of people talking about things across different industries and say, hey, is there an idea here? So I thought this was interesting. I thought the responses were interesting. I thought there was high engagement. And the way I interpreted it, there is a lot of division in the world right now, in the UK and US. And there's a lot of people that want to learn about other communities. And if you want to learn about other communities, where do you actually ask those questions? So if you have no Muslim friends, or you have no Asian friends, or you have no Black friends, where do you actually ask those questions? And this is where this kind of idea came from, like anonymous inter-community conversations. And this is Flutterflow. So Doc has covered Flutterflow before. I know you both have I believe you have a playlist, and you also have almost like a full course kind of thing on Flutterflow 2. Flutterflow, in my opinion, is the best no-code tool for creating mobile applications. It's not the easiest to learn. And for a version 1, you can also do similar things in Softer, just because sometimes I speed run this process because I'm used to these tools. And even on my YouTube channel, you might see me speed run certain things because I'm used to these tools. But the idea behind this is to create, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Yik Yak, Doc, but Yik Yak now is shut down. But it was a whole thing of being able to ask anonymous questions. And here I wanted people to be able to ask anonymous questions and get answers. My way of putting AI in this would be AI moderation. So moderation, so the questions don't get like totally out of hand. We want sensible questions, like reasonable questions, not like basically racist, homophobic, transphobic, sexist questions. We want regular questions, like innocent questions. And so this is how you start to go from idea to product. And again, sometimes I speed run. Some people do like to, if we go back, you don't have to start building that product from day zero. Sometimes instead of the try now button, you can have just a sign up button or sign up for early access, and you just have your Softer landing page, push that out there. And if people don't sign up, hey, you might say, hey, I don't think there's anything here. So I do have lots of those products where I'm like, hey, I like the products and people in my community like the product, but I don't think there's mass appeal for this.
Excellent. From what I'm hearing, what you're saying is you're releasing a lot of different ideas, a lot of different apps and micro SaaS. You're having a simple landing page to gauge the interest, and based on a certain metric, that's when you double down or triple down on that idea after you get traction.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This is great. And this is a great learning lesson for people that are thinking about, like, how would I do this? Now, your metric, what is your metric right there? Wait, Josh is saying a couple things real quick. Josh says we use Softer and Airtable for nocodeexits.com directories, and looking for more no-code AI guests to teach our community improve no-code exits. All right, Josh. Well, thanks for stopping by.
This, yeah.
And we'll talk about it. Hey, listen, it's up. See what you think. And then also Josh asking, is the Flutterflow app live yet?
No, it's not live. Really, I just started it today. I'll probably be finished. Probably be finished a couple days, maybe tomorrow, the day after. Just had to figure out like really the moderation thing. I think it could be powerful, and I say actually that's really important. So to give a story, it's not live right now. Maybe I'll make it live in January. I had a application called Love Letter, and it was to use AI to generate romantic messages. So you can type a little bit of context. Hey, I met my girlfriend here. You can say, hey, do you want it to be a letter, a direct message, there's there was a couple options, and I had a surge. I had thousands of users, which is amazing. And I was like, okay, but I can't actually see what they're saying. So I added like a login to actually see what they're saying. And there was hundreds of people writing slightly explicit things. And this is why you have to always kind of be careful. Which is why now going forward with I always think about how potentially could people abuse the app. And from the beginning, what safeguards can I put in to like try and reduce that? It's unlikely that I can stop it completely, but I can put in some safeguards to try and reduce the abuse of the application.
Great. And those are great points. Definitely, you have to keep that in mind, knowing what kind of app you're using. I think we talked about this also too, even with like Rosebud AI. Going through these things, it's important to understand the guardrails and the potential things that people can do with it. Real quick, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this one quick sponsor for the video, and then we're going to get into now building in a second. So if you're thinking about one of these projects, you're using Airtable, you're using Software, all of these different things, and you're having trouble to just build it yourself, there is a great platform called Low Code Engineers where you can actually pay for experts to do this for you on a live call. You can book them for an hour, 4 hours, 10 hours. So imagine it being like Fiverr or Upwork for low code or no code work. The link is going to be in the description down below. Full transparency, and we'll make the full announcement. I'm actually their program manager of Low Code Engineers. So you'll hear from me and all of those things. But this is a dream come true because I wish this is something I was trying to build years ago. I did not have the bandwidth to build for everyone, nor did I want to. This is the best case scenario where you get different experts with N8N, Make, Pipe Dream, the list goes on and on. You can go and actually hire the experts. And again, so I match you up with the best expert out there. So if you're interested, make sure that you take a look at that as well. Okay, so we're going to go into the building portion. We're going to be building a micro SaaS idea, a directory, using the power of software and AI. We're going to go from idea to actually building right here on the call. So what should we do first? Should we talk about the idea? Should we talk about the target market? What would you like?
If I can share my screen again.
Yep, I'm switching it over.
I'll zoom through this real quick. So I typically have like a product framework, like my certain like overarching philosophies about the way I think about developing products. And the reason I have this is I don't want to spend a week coming up with an idea. I want to spend a minute coming up with an idea and spend, I don't know, a day building it and a week actually trying to market it. And so a lot of this is curated. Some of it is my own experiences. So we'll speed run through this. Unbundling and bundling. But here we're just focused on bundling from Greg Eisenberg. I hope I'm saying his name right. That is the process of breaking down large products into smaller specialized components. Greg uses the Craigslist philosophy, where in Craigslist you have all these different services, but actually you can break each of those services into their own thing. If you take Amazon, Amazon sells everything, and you can do a e-commerce store for specifically for one category of Amazon. That is unbundling, but you can do that in any field, right? Productization, I think this applies to a lot of, so in our communities, we have a lot of consultants, we have a lot of people doing services, and right now they don't have no SaaS, right? And this directory could be great for them in this transforming your service into a tangible product. We can see here, I use a very, very popular example, but Canva is like the extreme. That is product size graphic design services. So We could take, I don't know, Rocket Lawyer, where they're selling templates. Hey, you might own a law firm, or you might be, I'm not sure if law consultant's the right word, but you might be a lawyer doing with your individual practice. And you might say, hey, I want to sell templates for startups, or I want to sell templates specifically for people with fitness businesses. And this is how we start to productize the service. Product arbitrage. So this is broken into different categories, but it's applying products from one market to another market. So we have geographic product arbitrage, or demographic, or industry. So I think I have some examples here. If you have never been Southeast Asia, you wouldn't know, but Grab is probably one of the biggest rideshare platforms there. And, in the UK, in the US, or maybe even in Europe, it might be Uber. But there's, in different countries, Russia, I think, is another example. They have it's basically the same rideshare service, but kind of localized to their particular region. So you don't always have to create a new thing. Sometimes you can take something out there and localize it to your particular demographic. Sorry to use the example. What was the low-code engineers?
Yep, so low-code engineers.
Just hypothetically, I'm not telling anyone to compete against Doc and his team, but you could, if you're in, I don't know, South Africa, build a low-code engineers for South Africa. Or if you're in Asia, you can build a low-code engineers for Asia. You don't always have to build something completely new. Sometimes you can localize it, especially when low-code engineers becomes $1 billion company and they want to break into Asia. What they might do is say, hey, we want to acquire you because you have the market in Asia. And that happens actually quite frequently as companies start to grow and expand.
I love it. I love that. That's a really good point. The bundling and unbundling. I think about, I had a friend that came up with, you mentioned Southeast Asia. He was a, what do you call it? He was a travel agent only for Southeast Asia, right? Very specific. Instead of fighting against, oh, I'm a travel agent worldwide, it's very specific. And then also too, I think about Gummy Search. That's a micro SaaS where they're bundling. They're trying to, all these subreddits, bundle them together to see where are the trends so you can understand at a high level all of them together. And this is great. Great insights. Keep going. Keep going.
Similar to the Cycle Chef project I showed you.
Oh, real quick. I'm sorry, Dom. Real quick. Someone asked in the chat before we go into it. AG asked, he said, are you all software developers? I thought this was interesting just to answer this. Could you talk about your background and this? I think this will help people out.
Yeah, my background, I'm not even sure if you know, Doc. My background's actually in architecture and construction. So that's my academic background. I grew up loving math, loving art, loving design, but I also was very, very technical from a very young age. And my professors at university saw that I love design, but I'm always doing something tech involved. And they basically like, hey, there's this new field or newish field called virtual design construction. You do 3D printing, you do virtual reality, augmented reality, and they kind of push me down that path. And at no point would I call myself a software developer. And I showed you a project where I am manipulating code. Would I call myself a software developer? I'm not sure. I probably will call myself a no-code or low-code developer, or no-code, low-code engineer. I'm probably at the edge of like technical ability and business acumen. So you have a lot of software developers that can build you whatever you want to be built, but that's where their expertise ends. And I'm like, hey, like, this is how we should think about developing products. This is how we should think about marketing. And I guess that comes with the entrepreneurial experience, right? Like having the ability to do lots of different things, more like a generalist. So on no resume, I don't think I've put that I'm a software developer. I've called myself an AI and automation consultant. lots of different things. I don't think I've ever called myself a software developer, but if I needed to go in the code, I could.
Great. I love it. Iju talks about, cool, I'm a software engineer. Love it. And I think that's the opportunity with these tools, whatever side that you're on, wherever you are. And now the tools are making it so much easier. It's bringing it to market, validating, and moving quickly. You're at an advantage being an engineer, being able to already have those skills to be able to use whatever coding that you want to use, if you're going to be doing Python or what other language. But now with AI, it's so easy to put out that version 1 to validate it and to get moving and to stay super lean with a company or a single person. This is a great place to be. Excellent.
So just a couple more points before we get building. We have demographic product arbitrage. So in the Cycle Chef, that was targeted at women on their cycle. But there's meal planners, MyFitnessPal, and all these different meal planners out there. But if you take an idea that's already out there and focus on a very specific demographic and unique challenges to them, then that's one way to get product traction. And then industry product arbitrage. So especially when it comes to AI, you've probably seen a PDF kind of, I don't know, is it like chat to a PDF or something like that? And you have people doing the exact same thing, but for academia, and the exact same thing, but for finance reports, right? And it's just focused on a very specific industry. And I think one of the reasons this is very effective is like for distribution channels and marketing, the people that's going to look at the generic chat to PDF are not the same people that's going to look at something very specific that talks to them about, hey, you're a researcher and you're looking at all these research articles. Here's how you can interact with them and absorb the information more effectively. It's a very, very specific, unique selling proposition that you're given, but it's essentially the same product.
Really good examples. So again, as we're going through this and we're going to be building it out in a few moments, remember, think about your unfair advantage. What is the industry that you're in that you can impact and use these principles and then go from there?
Yeah. So I don't want to spend too much longer, but curation, I'm going to use a very famous example, especially in the indie hacker world. Curation is basically this, and we're essentially going to be doing this, or we more likely will do this with our directory, is collecting a range of different items or different sources or different things into one spot. So think about AI tools. There's lots of people doing it, like AI tool reviews, and essentially they're curators. If you think about Spotify playlists, they're curators. They're getting they're tastemakers and bringing it into one place. And often there's a revenue opportunity here doing that. Remote OK is curated job listings for remote jobs. And lastly, a business model innovation. So there's lots of different business models you can use: freemium, advertising-based, subscription-based. Again, you can have the same product as, let's say, Remote OK, but you might do a different business model. If you think about Gusto is subscription-based, food delivery, but you have different types of, and Gusto is I think it's UK-based. Yeah, it's UK-based. But you have lots of different meal delivery or food delivery companies that are doing different business model, but essentially they're making food and giving you food. It's the same business. So let's not talk about this anymore. Let's get building. So have you got any ideas of what you want to build? Or I've come across this on My First Million, amazing podcast. It's called My First Million Volt. And some guy, let me not say some guy. It is made by Greg of Leverage. And he has taken My First Million, all of their episodes, and broken it down into business ideas, frameworks, quotes. And we have almost 2,000 business ideas, and we can choose one and build. So I'm not sure if anything strikes out at you or if there's anything in your head that you wanted to.
So two things. Let's take a look at the list. I would say even when you showed me the My First Million Vault, to me, I would see it being, I would look at the top 10 podcasts and I would probably emulate and just build out the same exact thing for that target audience.
We think a lot. No, I saw this and that's my immediate thought. And then I was like, actually, this is a lot of work. Like what he's done is a lot. Like when I thought, how would I do this? I was like, actually, it's not easy because this is a very good website. You can see he's extracted all the business ideas. And if we actually click on this, you can see the exact point of the episode. They talk about that idea. You can see a summary.
It's really good.
You can see what it's related to. Like this is a very, very good website.
So there's two things I would think about. We're going to look at one of the business ideas in the vault. But if I was a super fan, I think this would almost be like, obviously this is scratching his own itch because he loves the show and wants all of these things. So he's going to be motivated to make this good. If I was a fan of, like, look at any of the top 10, if you're looking at Joe Rogan, Call Me Daddy, whatever it is, I would already be in the Discord or subreddit group of people that love that podcast and just start building this nonstop, collaboratively to hear what features they want, build it in public so people see and they want to use it. Okay, I'll stop on this last one and then we'll look at idea. And probably because this is, I would believe this is takes so much time and effort, I'd probably even make it a simpler version of having people first like crowdsource their moments to see how they're categorizing things like that. And I'd probably make it a newsletter first of like, I'm sending you bite-sized versions of one idea, one quote, to them every week from the shows as I'm building this out more advanced. Yeah.
You do give me an idea. So if we stick on, hey, we can take shows like My First Million. I think I've done this before in Chip. Let's see.
He's doing this as a railway app. I'm sorry. I'm diving into this. Keep talking.
So what I'm actually looking for is, I'm pretty sure I've taken an episode of My First Million and created an AI assistant from it. Maybe it's in the playlist. Let's see what I've made. So I haven't actually revisited this in a while.
He even has a rating for all of these. Let's see.
Yeah, it's some serious stuff. So here I have,
and he's made an API for it. Sorry, just reading.
Yeah, I've did exactly what you did, and I was like, this is a serious project. This is like,
oh, he loves this thing. He loves this thing.
Yeah, I love it because he loves it.
Yeah,
and you could see that like this is serious.
I love the framework. So okay, I'll stop here. Keep it going with Chip. Sorry.
Yeah, for My First Million, I've taken a podcast where I believe they were talking about, or they had a PDF about business strategy, business monetization strategy, and I basically created an AI assistant from it. So maybe we can create a directory of AI assistants around certain podcasts.
I like that.
So not sure.
I mean, okay, look at this. I'm sorry. I'll stop. Can I just share my screen real quick?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is because I'm like, this is too like in the niche that we've been talking about. I'm sorry. This is the last thing I'll do. Okay. So there's two things that jump out at me that like right off the bat. Number one, side hustle database. I've been saying this forever about this. I think so many other people have said about this.
During COVID, there were, and I'm not, wish. I think it's called Side Hustle Stack. Side
doesn't that sound familiar? Yeah,
because it went viral like during COVID.
Yeah.
And originally I think it was a Notion. Originally I think it was like a Notion thing, and they changed it. And I think it was some university students, and they basically just curated all the platforms that you can do side hustles on.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are things out there, you know.
This makes me, oh my goodness. Okay, I'm sorry. This one, and then dear to my heart, Steph Smith is talking about automation as a service. I
Yep.
think automatically, like that's what X-Ray Tech, the company part of Low Code Engineers, or we're the sister company of that. That's the same exact thing. There are tons of examples of this in offering yourself as a chief automation officer. I love this idea. To me, kind of like what you were saying, I'm like, okay, I'll stop.
So no, we can do a side hustle database, but again, what would be the niche? Or it could be a demographic niche, it can be a geographic niche, it could be, I don't know.
That's a great idea. So to me, I would say either side hustle database for either graphic designs, for ones that are in graphic design, or this is super specific, but I see a lot of times teachers want to transition from being out of teaching full time, and they want to have a side hustle, and they're always looking for, can they tutor? Can they do all of these different things as a side hustle as they're transitioning out of being a teacher full time?
Okay. So
if not, we could do other things too.
A directory of side hustles for teachers. Like, and that's the you know, headline. Directory of side hustles to teachers. But I am curious, how is it different to a normal directory, right? If we have, I don't know, Uber driver on there, how is that any different? Or does it have to be different?
I wonder. Well, you know what? I wonder if it's like, so I'll give you an example. So when I was teaching in public school, there was a website where teachers could sell their daily planners for a certain subject. So one would be like finding all of these sites where, could I sell my daily planner? Could I sell my templates for my math students? Kind of things like that. Other teachers were looking for being a tutor for a very specific subject, or maybe they love chess, but you know, they want to teach wealthy people, like their kids, to learn how to play chess. They're not doing that in public school, right? So I'm thinking about different avenues of either their interest or leaning on their experience as being a teacher for all these years, opportunities to make a side income. Spoiler, especially in the United States, teachers do not make a lot of money. So they're always looking for other avenues as well. They still love teaching, but they want to make more income, if that makes sense.
Okay. So if you give me the driving seat, I might be able to like whip something up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm switching over.
What I'm hearing is what we're working on is a directory of side hustle for teachers. So immediately when you was talking, I was like, okay, one category can be templates. So I've heard of stories of teachers making a killing selling templates on Etsy, or like there's different places like there you can actually sell templates. And like you mentioned, online courses, obviously that's a given. But we can come up with different categories and just find the websites. And the reason, I'm not sure if we switched over in time, but the reason I have Perplexity open, because I'm like, hey, we can just ask AI for those websites. Like, we don't even have to think a whole lot. We can ask AI for all those websites where, hey, where can teachers sell templates, their lesson plan templates? Where can teachers make money selling online courses? We can even say, hey, categorize different things. This is what we're building. Can you give us, we're building a directory of side hustles for teachers. Here are some categories we have. Can you give us more categories? So this is what we're going to do. I have Softer open. We're just going to log in. and I generally click start from scratch because that's what I prefer, but there actually might be a template here because we're making a regular directory, and this is basically a resource library. I need to preview this, and I hope this is not the video version.
Also, too, when you're working on that, have you done the AI generated one as well?
Yeah, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. I think Softer's going in the right direction. I don't think AI is kind of their focus, like native AI. I don't think is their focus right now. I think they focused on integration, like increasing data source integrations. They've done some really interesting thing with like conditional forms, allowing API connections. But yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
So we're going to go to directories. Let's just use this one. So we can use something that's already been built. Obviously, we're going to have to customize this. Often, and I said this with Cycle Chef, I like to create a template and just use the template. I don't like to over engineer. We have one software engineer. We might have more software engineers in the chat. I feel that sometimes when you're more technical, you like to over engineer and overthink stuff. And I'm like, no, like I need to get out there, can I get the core idea out there and give it to a random stranger and they get the core idea? If they can get the core idea and they can like produce the output that I want them to produce to solve their problem, then that's enough. I don't need to like over engineer it. So for me, generally, a template and just customizing the template and colors, throwing my logo on is enough. And down the line, I can add more personality to the brand and more personality to the business. What are your thoughts on that, Doc?
Yeah, I love it. I think, and as Mr. Hackathon's building this out right here, I agree. I have used the AI generator for software if I feel stuck or I'm just like, I am overthinking this.
Yeah.
I'm going to just make a simple prompt because I think it has to be under 200 characters or so. All I'm going to do is come over and say, this is the directory that I want. And then it will make the front page, it will make the regular pages for me, the sign-in pages, and I'm off to the races. Now I can move so much quicker. But again, depending on if I like this template has been around for years with software, and it just works. It's optimized. I feel like it has all the major pieces. So yeah, it's really good. Hey, Dominic, real quick, as I was talking, it looked like you switched over to Airtable. Could you tell the good people if they were just getting started, what was happening?
Yeah, so when you use a template, obviously you can see information here. This information is directly connected to Airtable. So now with Softer, you can connect to SQL database, I believe. You can connect Google Sheets. They have lots of data sources you can create. Softer is really for your front end. Your data has to, and I'm just making sure that's right, your data has to be hosted somewhere else. So if you have users, well, you can store some user information in Softer, but if you have robust user information, if you have, I don't know, here we have resources, that has to be stored somewhere else. In this case, we're storing it in Airtable. And because I'm using a template, it allows me just to copy the template that's already there. Now, I don't have to use this. I can remove columns. I can change the data. I can delete all of this. It doesn't actually matter. But that is what's going on here in Airtable. So I would change this name to, have we got a name for this platform?
Let's see. Man, we'll just see. Now I got to check it, but I would just say for right now, we'll just make it teacher side hustle database. But let me go into ChatGPT and think of some better names real quick.
Okay. Teacher side hustle database is fine. And I'm actually very, very boring when it comes to names. So I might even call a platform side hustle for teachers because I know that's what they're going to Google. And I want to come up to the top when it comes to Google.
Do it. I love that. Boring is money. I'll take it.
So we could write a subtitle here just but we don't need one. We have explore. We could keep this here. We can remove it. Again, we don't need this here. So I'm going to hide it, or otherwise we'd have to connect it to some newsletter. But it's always a good idea to have a newsletter. If I start and go from top down, we have here the logo. We could put our own logo. Sometimes I might even remove that. I typically, if I've used this template once or twice before, but this add resource takes you to a form where users, I thought it took you, the add resource, it should take you to a page, the add resource page. But I don't actually want users to add a resource. I want it all to be generated by us. So I am going to remove that. You can always add it back later. So again, this is an MVP. This is our first version. And as we begin to do this, you can do this in an evening. You can do this on a weekend and start to do your TikTok campaign around it. Start to do your Instagram Reels or your YouTube Shorts campaign around it. And if it doesn't have legs, throw it away, do something else. And
the other thing is too, yes, I definitely agree. Do it on social. Some might, like, the counterpoint, they might be like, well, but I don't have a social media present. People aren't going to see me. Well, if you're a teacher or of teachers, make a list of 10 and reach out and say, this is what I'm thinking about doing. These are the reasons why. Would you be interested?
I would actually spin that a little differently, just because, again, like I'm just making the products. Just the dynamics of, I spend a lot of time doing marketing now. I would say, hey, I might have built it, but I would say, hey, I come across this, thought you might like it, and pitch it like it's not mine. And then sometimes it goes a little bit further. Sometimes people are a little bit more willing to like take a look at it,
I love it. No. And they might be more honest with you, right?
Exactly.
If you say that it's not from you, they might be like, this is trash. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. So yeah, different. It's definitely a good avenue to think about to get that reaction.
So what we have here is very simple, and we can actually preview this. We have a header, directory, a site hustle for teachers. Click this. It takes you to explore, where you can select community or filter that for community, courses. But this is the template, right? We want our own information. So we're actually going to have to adapt this database to have our own information. And to adapt this, if I just take a look at the columns, I'm actually going to remove this approved because this is curated by us. I need a name, description, category. The categories are probably going to have to change. So I'm going to remove these categories. And if there's any questions that you think the audience might have, please let me know, because I am moving relatively quickly, though.
Well, yeah. So the question I would say too is, if you're unfamiliar with Airtable or this kind of structure for spreadsheets or databases, we'll provide videos down below. But what he's doing is, I prefer this. You already have something that has data, and then you're editing it down to what you need versus scaling up from blank. I think if it's blank, people would feel more overwhelmed where to begin. If you're using that already has categories, you can just cut out the categories you don't need or do any of that kind of stuff. So no, I think this is good. You just changed out the categories, and now you're going to be deleting it. So now we're starting from ground zero without the other stuff.
So I'm going to go to Perplexity. So Perplexity is, I guess you can call it a new generation search engine, right? It's an AI-driven search engine. Even though now ChatGPT does have word search and it does cite sources, Perplexity was probably one of the first ones to actually do that. It's not the best at answering questions like ChatGPT might answer questions, but it is going to find sources and cite sources, and it's probably a little bit more accurate, or historically it's probably been more accurate. So I'm going to say list maybe 20, 10 places teachers can sell their lesson plans. Let's just see what it comes up with, because I've never asked this before. Does this look right?
Let's take a look.
So it says teachers pay teachers.
Mm-hmm.
It says Amazon.
Which makes sense because they could do it. I wonder if there's, so these are, I feel like, so in general, yeah, I think it's on the right track. Okay. I might be asking, let's see, scroll up just a little bit. I want to see the prompt. Let's see. In general, I don't see that being a problem. In general, yeah. Even when it's like TeacherShare says a Canadian marketplace for educators, I think this is a great place to start. I think this is a great place to start.
And now I'm not sure if Perplexity creates CSVs, but we can try to make it do all of this for us. So I need a name, description, and long description, and a link. Name, description, long description, and a link. Create a CSV with the name, description, so you'll see a common theme in, let's see if it does it. It has not created the CSV.
Could you? No, go ahead.
I think I can. Let's see if I can take this. Okay, let me just go to Claude or somewhere else.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, yep.
Okay.
I wonder, have you tried to do it with ChatGPT?
I think it should.
It's you and Dan. You and Dan use Claude way more than me, so this is, I'm always falling back into my bad habits, so. So as that's going, could you explain what's happening? Is it not doing what you're asking?
Awesome. That's why I said please. I'm like, please. Let's see if it makes a difference. Or maybe, have you got the pro version of ChatGPT?
I do.
Okay, so I will put this in the chat. And so admittedly, is there a character limit?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a character limit in the chat.
Put it in and see what happens. Yeah.
Send it to you on Twitter.
Oh, you put it on Twitter?
Yeah, I'm going to send it in a message on Twitter. I think that's everything.
All right, let me get it.
And I'll send the prompt. No, I don't need a prompt. We just need it as a CSV.
Just need it as a CSV.
Yeah.
And any prompt, I should just say, turn the following into a CSV?
Just asked it to produce a CSV.
All right, hold on.
because all the information's there. Yeah, so all we're doing is getting the information and adding it to the Airtable and putting it in format of the Airtable. The other way to do this is to go through one by one and input the information. But as you can see, the common theme of me being lazy, I'm trying to get AI to do it for me.
It's analyzing right now. Let's see. Analyzing. Oh, look at that. Yeah. See name. Let's see. Yep. Okay, let's see. Okay. So it's saying, okay, CSV. So you just need it in the CSV format, right? And then I'm downloading it right now, CSV file. You want me to put it to you on Twitter?
Yeah, if you can. I'm not sure if Twitter will let you.
Yeah, can I attach files? I don't know. Well, let me see this. What is this called? I can attach files. Let's see.
And actually,
Media.
what we can see here is Perplexity actually did hallucinate a little bit. So I just checked the first link it gave me. The first link it gave me actually wasn't. Well, the first link it gave me initially wasn't right, but in the what I sent you, the link was right. So these things, again, it's AI, so just make sure you double check.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm doing while Doc sends that, I am just filling one of these in, just to begin to show you what this looks like.
In the private chat, send me your email address, please.
Yeah. Again, just like we're missing Black people, and the website I made, really, it took me 2 days because I spent a lot of time curating the resources or curating the appeals.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a couple years ago. So I didn't use AI as much in that time. I'm not sure how I would have used it to get the appeals, but I definitely didn't use it as much back then. But if we just finish this up before I send Doc my email. I think it's this one. So what we should be able to see almost instantly, and I just got to refresh. There might be things we have to reconfigure. So just remember, we are using a template, but in this template, we want to refresh this. It's not named this anymore. It's named Teacher Side Hustle Database. And we have resources. And so these categories are not right. So we need to remap these categories. If we go to content, I think it is, or maybe it's source. I'm just looking for where the categories are. Okay, the categories are right here. You can see these categories are manually input, but we're going to sync with the data source. That means options. Let's double check. We had templates online courses. So I don't know what's going on here. So we're going to actually remove this. And all we're going to leave it with is templates and online courses. So we have templates, online courses. So we have online courses and templates. Perfect. We have our, we only have one now where Dot sent over the rest of them. And what we actually have, so right here you have the, if I preview this, just to show you what happens. Scroll down. If I was to select online courses, you'll see there's nothing there. But if I was to select templates, you can see this is one of the template websites or template side hustles. And we click on this and it opens the details for that page, or should open the details for that page. And so there's an error here. So we have to fix that error. But what it's going to do is open the details for that page and show more information. So we go to this, we're going to open page, item detail. And what we want to do is go to item detail here. I don't think this is mapping correctly. So it's not mapped correctly. So we have to, because we changed the name. So this is important to remember. The Airtable and Softer is synced. So if you change something in Airtable, just remember you have to kind of like reconfigure things in Softer. So we changed the name in Airtable. We called it Teacher Side Hustle. Database, resources, and immediately it pops up, everything that we want. We have the website, category, the image. Let's see if it's pulling the right image. We are going to refresh. And you can see it all here. So obviously we have to change this to explore side hustles. We want to adjust the contact us page to be what we want it to be. So I'll change this to explore. So a question you might have is, okay, this is great, but how do I add user authentication? How do I add sign in? How do I add something like that? How do I monetize? We have pages and we can add a new page. Let me add it this way. We can add a block, and a block can be on the new page, like a sign-in page. And we would want to, I believe it's here somewhere, user accounts, and you can see sign up form, sign up with image. There's different sign up forms that we can have to have users sign up to be able to use our platform. You can either, I think this, especially in the no-code space, some people have monetized by adding affiliate links. I know you're a big fan of affiliate links, Doc. You can add, especially with this type of platform, maybe you might have a featured column and the people in the featured column are paying to be in the featured column. That's another way to monetize. Obviously, consultancy services is another way to monetize. You might have a paid newsletter, again, another way to monetize. So there's, with a directory, there's so many different ways to do it. In the indie hacker community, there's some people that built directories and a complimentary newsletter around a industry or around a particular category, and they sold it. And the people buying it are buying it for the audience, they're buying it for the community, and people have built that off the back of directories.
I love it. I love it. This is really good. In the comment section down below, let us know what do you think about this? Does this make sense? And I think it's really important as we're walking through this. You showed the good and the bad, the pitfalls, what happens when you have to go back and change things. But I like the logical development of how you think through these processes and how people can be successful with this. In the comment section down below, let us know. What's your aha moments of this? What are you Do you like seeing this with software? Do you have questions about software? Do you want to learn how to use it better? Or do you have questions on Airtable? Let us know all of those things. Now, I just saw confetti fly. So
Yeah.
that means it's live. That's good.
Oh, I mean, it's live, but there's only one. There's
Hey,
only one thing here, but it starts with one, right?
yep. I always say you've got to start with the basics. If you feel overwhelmed with one, just go through one at a time. So excellent work. Anything else that you want to say too? I don't want to cut you off.
No. But it's we actually spent maybe 20, 30 minutes just building this, and this is the core of it. So, if you have half a weekend, like not even half a weekend, half a day on a weekend, you can spend your time building out your directory, and then during the week, share with your teacher friends, or share with your physio friends, or share with your plumber friends. We built a directory of side hustles for teachers. You can remove teachers and put any profession that you want. And it's the same product, just specifically curated for a particular profession.
Yeah. When you were thinking about this, when you were talking about it, it's just one, although it's a newsletter, but I think about it almost this could be a directory in itself right here. I'm not sure if you've seen this newsletter. It's been around for years. It's called Data is Plural. It's a Dominic, I'm just going to let you know it's going to be a dark rabbit hole that you fall into. But basically, it sends you to all the different data sets of all the things that he's interested in every single week. So to me, it's if I'm looking for what would I have a directory of, what am I looking for to find a data set where I could have APIs connected, so two systems talking and it populates all of these things. This might be one of them, really deep diving into it. So I love this one.
My first million, and on that database, we could probably find it. My first million had a couple episodes ago, and there was a guy that was getting water quality reports from the government free. So you just do free freedom of information requests, and he was actually selling those. So not illegal, like you can do that. There's actually a lot of different data out there. Let's say there's websites that are directory for crime. Like when people want to move and they want to choose what school they want their kids to go to, they're looking at the local crime reports. Hey, you can do a directory specifically for that, request all the different crime reports, or request specific data sets. We just spoke about data sets, and put it in a website for a particular demographic.
Yep.
And especially, so this for teachers is B2C, but if you really want to make money, go B2B.
Yep, exactly. We did an episode a few years back, but I might bring up the curation of this one is this is Mike Rubini. He has a bunch of different projects. His team is still quite small now, but he was by himself for a period of time. And so if we're looking at it, he has used cars, so cart e-commerce data intelligence platform, a micro P deal platform. But look at this, fast lien, tax lien and deeds research software. So this is public information. You could be doing this in your state or county or whichever country you're in, information about what is basically what's the lien on the house? How much is it to get that property? And this is what he sells.
Idea. That's an amazing, I did my university in Alabama, and in university, obviously I was doing architecture and construction. So there's real estate classes that I took, and actually, especially in the US, there's great opportunities to get on the property ladder, but that there is a hurdle there in getting the right information from the right data sources. And a lot of the time it's so there's so many hurdles. If you be the person that overcomes those hurdles, especially if you're familiar with the system, and to sell that data to the audience and make it easy for them to access using software,
Yeah,
it's a great business opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, so I really think just like how you mentioned, take the time, look at what's going on of, the opportunities around you. But if you see a business that is old school, something that takes a lot of manual work like this, use the power of AI, use something like software to make it accessible to your audience, and it's a gold mine. It's a gold mine.
You know, another interesting idea that I personally had that I'm not going to use is right now you have a lot of baby boomers that have businesses and their children don't want to inherit their businesses. So for some people, that's a great opportunity because these are cash flowing businesses. Those baby boomers want to retire. So it's a great opportunity, but there is no directory for that. And a lot of these baby boomers are not like chronically on the internet like my generation would be. So anytime you can make information more accessible, there's going to be an opportunity there to make money. I'm not sure if I had it in my product framework, but it's like information asymmetry. So anytime you have information other people don't, there's going to be an opportunity to make money.
Love it. Well, this has been a great session. Let us know in the comment section down below which of these different ideas or different platforms you want to use. And if you have questions on how to use different platforms or how to get started from going from idea to your online app or micro SaaS, let us know. Mr. Hackathon, real quick, could you let the good people, where can they find you and what do you want them to do?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. I will be in the comment section of Doc's videos, or I have my own channel. It's at Mr. Hackathon or Mr. Hackathon. I do a lot of tutorials and walkthroughs on how to build software without coding, similar to Doc, but I cover all different kinds of quirky tools. I'm also on TikTok at Mr. Hackathon, but on X or Twitter at Dominic O. Norton.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. You will see a lot more of him. You'll see him in all the different videos talking about how to use Make with AI agents. And we're going to have him on for many more videos talking about AI and how to capitalize. Again, thank you everyone for watching. Make sure that you like and subscribe. We do this every single week, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.